was the seventh of 8 children, so I got to listen to 2 languages as I was growing up because my older siblings by then were proficient in both languages. And they probably spoke better Spanish than I did because they were, my parents didn't speak English for a long time. They learned a lot of the language, but they never really felt confident speaking English, but they understood and got along pretty well. But my older siblings, they started just with Spanish, and then they immersed to the English when they went to school. Like I said, I benefited with both languages because I had my siblings that spoke English, and we had my mother who spoke Spanish. So I guess I am pretty much bilingual. And
did your siblings, did they only learn or English at school, like not through an English
no.
transition class, just from being in the classroom?
Just from being in the classroom. They didn't have any emerging English classes in those days. They just went in cold turkey, just went in having to learn the language. And they all spoke, beautiful English and beautiful Spanish. Their Spanish was a lot better than mine, but because they had that's all they spoke when they were younger. For my siblings, like I said, they had to go in, most of them when they were going, the older ones, when they were going to school, they were all in segregated classes. There were 2 schools that we attended near us, and one was for only Hispanics, and the other one were for, just Anglos. And my sister, Caroline, she was involved in that Mendez versus California. And so my brother, that's 5 years older than I am, he was like one of the first classes here in El Modena that got integrated into school. And then by the time I got there, everything was integrated. Well, my sister, Carol, she went to Los Angeles with a group to court, to fight for the Mendez versus the school system. And my sister, Connie Mendez, her husband was a cousin of the Mendez that began that whole situation here. So to me, it doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but I guess because I'm 76, it was a long time ago.
So I have a few questions going off of, you were saying you kind of had a unique experience compared to your siblings where they were raised basically only in Spanish and had to teach themselves English. And you got the benefit of having them teach you English, and also the fact that you were kind of coming into high school where schools weren't segregated. How do you think your experience differed from your siblings, like in your ability to succeed in school because you were already speaking English and you got to be in non-segregated education?
Well, one thing, it's just a lot of it is times and the being segregated. My older siblings, because they did attend segregated schools, they all graduated from high school, but that was the end of their education. Where, like my brother that got to go to an integrated school, he had the desire to go on to college, and he did attend college, but then he went into the military, and then after that, it's like the schooling, but that was the end of it. But your whole outlook, our outlook, is different than my brothers and sisters that went to segregated schools. They didn't see that they could go beyond that, and the ones that when we did get integrated, we all high school was just a stepping stone to more ahead. I think being able to get into an integrated school was, you could see more at the end of the tunnel, that there's more you can do.
Yeah. And So with your experiences of seeing your siblings growing up and having to go to segregated schools and teach themselves English, how did that affect the way that you approach teaching preschool? Especially since you said that you had so many students that were second English language learners.
Okay. Well, I did want to just give them a lot of language. It always starts with simple things, and like let's wash your hands and let's look at your hand, look at the hands. It's just I can't even believe how like a little sponge they are at that age, because I don't know any of my Hispanic or Vietnamese children that didn't pick up language so quickly, and their parents, I guess, had to go along. They had to learn also, because a lot of them didn't speak English either, and they wound up teaching their own parents how to speak English. I think I don't know if there was if I really felt anything other than just taking things slow, and I was a lot more trying to be more visual with the words that I would say. I would try to show them, what it was, so to get their understanding more, like, the water, wash your hands, and showing them, and not just saying the words, but trying to be more as visual as I could with the words. And I just can't figure out how they got it all, because they got all those little prepositions in there, all those little words, and I thought, it's just from hearing the kids, how they pick all of that up? I just still don't understand.
That is all the questions I have for you. Do you have anything else you would like to add about language, culture, and how it works with education?
Well, the culture, I think, as teachers now are learning. Before, I don't think they knew enough about culture, and it's wonderful how a lot of the schools that can, because there's a lot of that's the thing. A lot of times they're not allowed to in the public school. You're not allowed to do this or that or whatever. But I know in my grandkids' school, they're in a charter school, and last week they had set out a table when you walk into the school where they decorated for Dia de los Muertos, and the kids were allowed to bring pictures that they wanted of their family that had passed away, and they put their pictures up, and it kind of surprised me, because I worked in a religious school, in the Catholic school, so we always had all of these different holidays, but I didn't know that a public school, a public charter, would do that, that allow the kids to show their culture like that. So I think a lot of the teachers are learning, and a lot of the different educators are learning about embracing all of these cultures. So and then they're learning the words too, like the Dia de los Muertos, hearing the teachers talk about it because they learned it from the kids. So they also are learning the language and the culture of all of their students. And it makes the kids feel really special to know that somebody values their own culture.
Yeah, it is beautiful.